we talk when we look at intuition, we're always talking about people always talk about gut instinct, don't they? They always talk about gut instinct, but actually your gut instinct can not only just be intuitive but instinctive, whereas the instinct is that fight or flight survival response. So it's an instinct to stay alive. So that's one of the reasons why we'll go, oh, I've got this gut instinct. And it's interesting, in the same way that empaths will always talk about how they were picking up everybody else's negative emotions and negative feelings, and they never talk about how they were hanging out with someone having a really good time and they were just basking in the happy chemicals. Oh, I had such an oxytocin hit from some small child the other day who smiled at me in the street. We don't really talk about the happiness that we can pick up from other people. And joie de vivre is contagious. I mean, we really can pick up that, but we tend to always look at the things that we need in order to survive. So the gut instinct is a survival mechanism, and that's why we call it an instinct, because that instinct puts blood into the arms and legs, and that blood was actually looking after the gut and digestion before, which is why when you're in times of stress, you can end up with irritable bowel syndrome. The other thing it does is weaken your immune system, because it also sends, and this is where I understand, this is the thing where you go, I understand this much, there's this much, but this much sounds like this. So this much that I understand about it is it sends the right nutrients to the right bits of the body, but basically it burns down as when your gut brain is looking after your immune system, it's fighting off cancer, it's doing things like that, which is why fasting is really good for you, because when you're not eating, you're not digesting, which gives you the opportunity to actually, but how it works, don't know. Medical science, not necessarily me, but I just know it works like that. So it means that when we're in high levels of stress, or when we're in the fight or flight response, our gut brain is working too much. And I also think our solar plexus, that fuzzy yellow chakra, I always want to do this because it frisks people for information to see if they're safe. So you're safe, you're safe.
It's almost like an octopus.
It is, it's like an octopus. So the yellow of the solar plexus is always looking for whether or not there's danger and things like that. And then it brings information into the sacral chakra, which corresponds with the gut brain, which says, oh, that's something dangerous, which is why you can have a sense of something and not see it. But then 2 seconds later, someone rounds the corner and you go, oh, that's what it was. And it was a survival thing to stop predators eating you, basically. And so I think it works with the solar plexus, which is why we have a sense of something through our energy system before we actually get to clap eyes on it. And then that sends the blood into the arms and legs. So it's instinct as well as it being intuitive, but it's telling you what to avoid. It's the avoid emotion. It's the run, leg it, scary, freeze, fight, do whatever you need to do kind of connection. But so if that's an instinct, instincts were not only the things that you were born with, but they are the things that developed in childhood. So they are the the scary maths teacher being really, well, I'm going to humiliate you, or chuck a board rubber at you. Going back in the days, we had quite a Victorian classroom. Or scratch my nails down the blackboard was another favourite one. And so when you've got that instinct, you meet someone as an adult who reminds you of your maths teacher, you're going to have the same guttural moving back, fight or flight, which is why I think, especially for empaths, you need to check in using curiosity with the heart brain, because the heart brain then gets you into a kind of like sense of and it can give you flashbacks. So they kind of, when we talk about clairvoyance, we always talk about clear seeing forward, because we're always interested in future prediction type nonsense. But clairvoyance actually can give you flashbacks to things in the past. It works as almost like a psychologist. So you can have a gut instinct where you don't like something. You check in with your heart brain. It gives you a flashback to a trauma, so a little bit PTSD, but it's not normally traumatic when, that's the dog, it's not normally traumatic when that happens, but you get like a sense of flashback to a memory, flashback to a thought, flashback to something. And then you can tie the two things up. Oh, I'm having this reaction because of something that happened in the past. And then we can go, now that makes sense. That's why I'm reacting in the way that I'm reacting, which just makes it so much easier, because then you're not judging somebody who reminds you as your maths teacher as being a bad person. You just go, they remind me of something from my past, which means you can process, deal with it, move on. And it means that you don't get emotions that are out of date emotions that are not relevant to now, because you're having an instinct, not an intuition. And when we get confused and think it's an intuition, then we can give it greater importance than it actually has. So some things are just kind of trigger, yeah, that's a trigger point. That's not an intuition. That's the difference between an instinct and my intuition. And the way to tell the difference is the heart brain. So that's exciting. I like that.